everybody. My name is Scott Corl, the Full Contact Fighter. We are joined today by Phoenix Jones, or as many of you know him, Ben Fodor.
How you guys doing?
How's things been going since your fight last November?
I can't complain. I mean, pretty good. I've been in the gym, been training, ready to go. Like I feel like it's been pretty good.
So I watched your fight the other night and with your last opponent, and real tall, 6'4".
Yeah, really tall, tough guy.
And yeah, and I didn't know. We had a little conversation earlier. I was kind of saying, boy, Ben's being a little overconfident.
No, yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that.
I mean, it wasn't being overconfident. When you get in there, I threw the first punch of the fight, and I boxer fractured my hand. So now I'm like, okay, I got no right hand, no problem, I'm good. Fight the first round, no problem. Second round, I do a takedown, and I dislocate my left shoulder. So now I'm like, no left shoulder, no right hand. I was like, this fight just became a fight about testicular fortitude versus a fight about skills. So it's nothing I could really do at that point.
It was great because, some great leg kicks. I'm surprised you didn't go down with the brutal leg kicks you're giving.
Man, leg kicks are where it's at, on the street and in the cage. And whenever I'm on a fight in the streets or Phoenix Jones fight or anything like that, leg kicks, people underestimate the power of a leg kick. I mean, I'd rather get punched straight in my face any day.
Well, we had an interview a couple years ago, and you were talking about getting back into business. It took a little bit longer than you wanted to, but the biggest news since then was the mutual combat, which is a law in the Seattle area. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, funny thing, the mutual combat actually is not even what it's called. Oh. That was my marketing team. They came up with it. They wanted to call it that so we could make mutual combat T-shirts, which we donated it to charity. So we went through there, which I thought was cool. We sold a bunch of those. They're still online if you guys want to get them. Profits go to charity. But basically what it's called is the consent to duel. Washington State's a posse comandante state, meaning you can actually consent to a fight with as long as you call the sheriff because of how old the law is. So we called the police and this guy consented to a fight and I knocked him out on camera. I didn't think it'd be a big deal, but someone bystandered, it wasn't even my camera, got the camera phone footage. And once he uploaded it to YouTube, I copied it and put it on my channel. I woke up the next morning and had 700,000 views.
Yeah, it was pretty incredible.
It was crazy.
And as much crap as you take out there on the streets, it was kind of nice to see you be able to kind of beat some people down. I know that's what you're all about, but you sure get a lot of flack I've seen.
Yeah, it's a weird combination because when people talk about you in MMA, right, they'll say something bad about you. We're gonna fight. So you need to be real careful what you say because guaranteed we're gonna fight. On the streets, it's not that simple. People say all kinds of stuff, and you really have to break the law before I ever get a chance to fight you. So it kind of sucks. It's a lot of inner strength to just let people say crazy things about you and kind of walk it off,
Of course, and now you're also the Phoenix Jones side. You've been talking about putting together a new suit.
Yeah.
And all that.
So close. I'm right there. I think with this fight and a couple of their sponsors, it should push me over the edge. And I finally got approved by the FDA to get my laser, which was the Food and Drug Administration controls lasers, which I thought was pretty frustrating. I don't know why they control lasers, but I wanted a laser that could burn car doors off. And they were like, well, why do you need a laser to burn car doors off? And I said, because I want to burn car doors off. So I had to go through this long process to get a laser license for like class 3 lasers. It was ridiculous, but I finally got it.
Now let's talk about coming up soon. Koga MMA or Combat Games putting on the Super Bowl Sunday, which is at Snoqualmie Casino.
Yep.
That's your next fight, basically your second fight in 3 years. First, we'll talk about what the difference in time. 3 years is a lot of time to take off.
Yeah.
Did that affect you?
Absolutely. Yeah. I would say the 3 years off really did affect me. It's hard to take 3 years off of anything and come back and then realize that you are better now than when you left. I am truly amazing, and it took me a long time to realize how much better I am now than I was then. Some people think they're in their prime. People don't realize, I'm a pretty young dude. When I was destroying everyone before, I was like 18 and 19. And I quit, and now I had time to really put my life together and come back. And it's a lot easier to train, I'm just in a better place mentally. It's not so much about who has the biggest dick anymore. It's now, I'm well aware of how big my dick is, and you're gonna be in trouble.
Well, let's talk about the Combat Games. Koga, FC evolved into Combat Games. They did the Rumble on the Ridge, is great events. Joe DeRobio's always a first-class promoter.
The thing you have to know about Joe, it's like this. Certain people own leagues, right? But they've never fought a day in their life. And they're hard guys to get along with. Joe, not only has Joe fought, he's been in the ring with me countless times when I've knocked other people out as the referee. Then he opened up his own show, had I think one of the most successful pro shows running with the original Rumble on the Ridge. And now he's opened up Super Bowl Sunday. It's a guaranteed success. He sort of has a weird business plan that somehow works every single time. And he's a great guy to work for. So. Another thing he's doing that's really innovative is Koga.tv/live. He's going to be live streaming the fights literally as they go. So once I beat this dude up, I'm going to be able to run back, hopefully to my locker room, and with the delay, watch me beat him up a second time.
Perfect.
It's pretty cool. I've only done that once in my life before, and it was great that time too.
And speaking of technology, now you have a video game?
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that.
Sucker Punch is a company in Bellevue. They made a 1-to-1, or I guess it would be a really 3-to-1 scale of Seattle in this video game for PS4. And they put me in the game as a pretty cool character. I can't really say exactly what it is because the game hasn't been completed yet, but there's some posters online and a bunch of stuff out there of me on it, and it's pretty awesome. You guys have to check the game out. It's great.
Well, you gamers out there, make sure you pick that up.
Yeah, Second Son.
Let's talk a little bit about the streets. I know you have a child,
yeah.
And let's talk about violence in the streets and violence in schools. You've heard a lot about that lately, gun control, all that. Give us a little bit of your thoughts on that.
Well, my stance on that's kind of unpopular. I feel like when you get to a certain place and people expect you to be a role model, they expect you to say certain things. The problem is that I became a role model accidentally. I just did what I thought was right and people started liking it. So you're going to have to deal with my opinions when I say stuff like that. People are just going to have to get used to it. Gun control is ridiculous. Because if criminals followed the law, they wouldn't, like a law says you don't get guns and shoot people and they do it anyway. So putting restrictions on the people who can have guns is just stupid. I do think there needs to be background checks and we need to know who is buying guns legally. So when they get stolen and other things happen, we have ways to check them out. But as far as gun control, it's an idea that's not really going to work because criminals aren't following the laws anyways.
Well, now, how does that relate? You have a child in school.
Yeah.
Do you have a different thought when you think of it that way?
I did for a long time. I thought that maybe getting the guns out of people's reach would really help make schools safe, especially with all the school shootings.
Sure.
And what we've realized is, I can't remember the exact number of the stats. I want to say it was in the 70s. 70% of school shootings are done with guns that were actually registered and owned legally by someone at some point. They're not guns off the street. I think it's just kind of, they're so accessible in our community that that's not really the way to do it. I think the way to do it is really education. My kid knows where my superhero closet is. It's locked. But every once in a while, we'll go in there, and I'll show him how to work my taser, or I'll show him what the pepper spray is. And he's not in any way, shape, or form interested in opening that closet by himself.
Exactly.
Because he knows what's there. He couldn't if he wanted to, but he still knows what's there.
And that's what it's all about, education and teaching your children, right from wrong, and being there and, telling them.
It's funny. I thought it was like that too. I thought it was about teaching people from right from wrong. And the more that I've instructed people, the more I've learned. I feel like it's teaching people the process to choose what's right and wrong for you. Because it's a little different for everybody. Everybody kind of has to, finagle where they fit in this world. That's the hardest thing about being Phoenix Jones. It's figuring out what is right and what is wrong. And I'm lucky I have the law to put a pretty good legal stamp on it. But there's still times when I'll see someone break the law and I'll go, that's not a law to me. I don't stop people for jaywalking. I don't stop drunk people from urinating in alleyways. Yeah, it's a crime. I just don't care.
Sure, and that's really not your job. But then again, just like myself, that's ridiculous.
Exactly, yeah.
But and speaking of that, now, originally you weren't too good at terms with the Seattle Police Department.
Yeah.
They took away your suit, arrested you for vigilantism. Is that what it was? Something like that?
It's funny, yeah. Well, they originally tried to arrest me for vigilantism until my attorney informed them that that's not actually a crime. There's no law against vigilantism. So then they arrested me for disturbing the peace, 127 counts of assault, and bulletproof body armor, which wasn't illegal either. It was very confusing.
No, but the thing is, you finally did get that back, or
yeah, I got all my suit back. They sent me an apology letter. It was it all got handled, and I would say we're on better terms now. I believe what I'm supposed to say whenever I'm answering this question is the Seattle Police try their best to help people and are always eager and curious to find creative ways to help you.
Hear that, people?
Yeah, my attorney crafted that. My true opinion is exactly the same.
Good answer. No, but the thing is, it seems to me that your relationship with them is obviously way better than the beginning when we had our interview 2 years ago.
Oh, definitely. May Day really helped that too. A couple of years back, there was a big riot in the city, and we were able to defend one of the federal courthouse buildings. And the FBI came in and gave us a cool little award for that and talked to us. And after the FBI and that kind of came through, everything calmed down a lot. People realized, we might dress in funny suits, but the idea is the same. American value is exactly the same, and that's we want to protect people.
Well, and then that brings me, when did Phoenix Jones decide to become Ben Fodor again? Tell us about that.
It never really quit. What happened was, when I was doing my Phoenix Jones work when I started, I was coming up with a template, and it took so much of my time, my energy, I couldn't do anything else. So I'd be training in the gym, leave the gym, go fight crime, take care of my kids, wake up, go to work, leave the gym. I never had time for a fight. So when I finally, now I have the template, I have 17 guys, I don't have to be on every patrol. When our team patrols 4 nights a week, I'm only on 2 of those.
Now you're still training with Eric Wiseman still, right?
I wouldn't go anywhere else, man. Eric Wiseman, the dude starts out as a striker, right? Does a whole bunch of striking stuff, works with Charlie Pearson, they grow a great gym. Then he decides he wants to do jiu-jitsu. He's now a brown belt under Brian Johnson, and he's out there subbing people. His son Riley just won the Naga tournament, beat Noah the Legend, is going to do Worlds. It's crazy. His jiu-jitsu is better than his striking ever could be, and it's his secondary game. He's like 50 years old, and he beats all of us in the gym, makes us look stupid.
With your ground game, I know people love to see you do that more, and you're working with a great guy that can.
Well, my ground game's great. The difference is that anytime someone wants to put their balls on my face, I get less excited about going to work. So I don't think the crowd really wants to see that. True MMA fighters, they want to see a good grapple. But the crowd, they don't want to see that, and I want to give them what they want. If you look at my sub history, though, I've got neck scissor, which is a very high-level jiu-jitsu move.
You almost got that?
Yep, almost got it again. I have an omoplata, a flying triangle, and an armbar. So my jiu-jitsu game is actually on point. The thing is, you just got to put me on my back, which isn't going to happen.
And I say that because I've watched the last fight, and you didn't have a chance to really do that much. Some great takedowns, great leg kicks. Brutal leg kicks.
The problem with the neck scissor was I had one broken hand and no arm at that point. So I'm sitting here and I'm like, squeeze, just squeeze, see what happens.
I know, that looked like tough, looked like it kind of pissed you off a little bit.
Oh, I was super frustrated. I mean, I wanted to come out there and really have an explosion back onto the scene, and I hit a great right hand in the first one, and I'm like, oh! And then it goes like, oh! It's like my body's failing.
Well, it looked like you're overconfident, but that explains.
Yeah.
You just didn't want to have your guard up. Plus, you probably didn't need it, did you?
Well, it turned out not. But what I thought was really interesting is it actually, I started off as a negative. I was really disappointed. And it was actually a really big positive because it taught me, I haven't learned a lot in fights. I haven't lost in years. I mean, before I took my break, I was still 2 years from losing my last fight. I went 23-2 as an amateur. Like, I beat up everybody there was to beat up. And it taught me that there's still that drive left. I wasn't sure if I had that fight left in me. I wasn't sure because I wasn't as angry as I was when I was younger. And now it's a totally different kind of drive. It's a competitive drive. When my arm dislocated, I thought, all right, let's do this. Yeah. And then when the pan broke, I thought, all right, let's do this. We'll see what it's at.
Some good character building.
Yeah.
Now that fight, you're 170. You're talking about going down 155. Is that what we're going to be doing here?
Definitely. We're definitely going to 55. The guys at 70 are too big. I can't find any more 6'4" guys. Yeah. We're definitely going to 55. This fight's at 70, and we're going to work our way back down. We're definitely aiming for 55, though.
So Super Bowl Sunday, let's talk about your opponent a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know much about the guy as a fighter. I heard his name and I thought, why do I know this name? And I looked it up, and the guy used to date my ex-wife, and he bought her a wine vineyard or a wine yard or something like that. It was something really weird. So there's some weird blood between the two of us.
So you recently divorced?
Yeah. Me and my Purple Rain ended up getting divorced. So yes, I'm definitely. It's one of those things where it's like it's a tough thing to have happen, but we really towards the end we're not very compatible. So it's hard because you have a lot of memories you're not going to be able to share with anybody else. I mean, how many other people you run into a riot with, right?
Exactly.
But at the same time, I really think hurting this guy is going to help me feel better about it.
Well, I'm sure.
a lot of fights I go in with the intention of winning. In this fight, I'm going to win, but I think it's important to leave with something like break his arm off or destroy his face, something that'll make me feel better.
Now, what about your brother? You still want to fight him, or? I know that you guys have got.
I want to fight him more than ever. Here's the thing: we're friendlier now. We're on more friendly terms, but he's still very confused about the hierarchy of who is better in this relationship. He is a much better striker than I might ever be.
Carlos, you hear that?
Yeah. Hey, you're probably even a better grappler than I might be. But my physical attributes will destroy you. I'm in better cardio shape. I hit harder than you when I land, and I'm generally bigger. I will destroy you. And I hope that we don't, it's like this. If we ever fight, I hope that we are in a mature enough place that after I win, we can be cool. Because I'm not in a mature enough place that if I lost, I could be cool with him. But since that's not on the table, I don't really think it'd be a problem.
Well, and that would be great. But the big thing these days is you're getting so much media attention. I mean, I've been hearing all sorts of networks and things like that. You're also working on a documentary
with ESPN.
How it's affecting, ESPN.
Yeah, the ESPN's doing the documentary. It's not really. ESPN is a really cool fly on the wall sort of thing. You don't even realize they're there, which is cool and bad because I feel like it catches me in moments I wasn't expecting, in these vulnerable moments I wasn't expecting. which is weird. And then I'm talking to a couple other people. I mean, man, I've gotten offers from the RFA. I've had offers from Combate. I think it's Combat America. Combat America, which is a really cool idea, which I thought was really interesting. I've had some.
Yeah, if you get a chance, people check that out. It's really cool. I had a chance to look at that last week, and some great episodes in Spanish with subtitles. I know they're looking to do some other things, but you'd be perfect for that.
It's really cool. It's a really cool show. So there's just so much stuff coming up. I know I'm going to be fighting. I know I'm moving to 155. I want to sign with a bigger organization. I don't know which one. People are coming at me right now, and I'm gonna accept a fight somewhere. I'm still juggling the options.
Sure. So Ben, I wanted to ask you a little bit about, we spoke before, and you had some concern about people kind of paying their dues and getting fights right away versus people that have, worked for a while for it. Give me your thoughts on that a little bit. I know that it's kind of a difference.
It's such a weird thing because I feel like I'm on the other end of the circle now. When I started fighting MMA in the amateurs, right, I won my first 8 fights in a row, 7 of them by like devastating knockout before I got my first title fight. Other guys got title fights at 4-0, 3-0, and they were all collegiate wrestlers that people knew. And I really felt like I was overlooked. I was 23-2, and of those, at one point I had the 170 belt, the 155 belt, another 170 belt, and then I took a fight for the league I had the 170 title at for a non-title fight. And it was sort of like, it just makes no sense, but I just wanted to fight. So I'd fight anybody, and I felt like I got overlooked a lot. Like people didn't realize how many belts and titles I should have had. I feel like it got kind of diminished.
You're a veteran, but
right.
On the pro side, yeah.
And then when we go into the pros, I'm getting all these offers that I feel like are almost above where I'm at. Because I'm like, I've got 2 fights in, I'm 2-0, 2 fights in, and then you guys want to offer me, you guys want to put me on the main card, and you guys want to put me as the undercard to the main fight. And it's weird to me because I feel like it's borderline disrespectful to the fighters, but at the same time, I want to promote my career, and I'm going to take opportunities when they show up. So I feel like it's a really weird double-edged sword. There's a lot of guys out there train really hard, do really well, and simply aren't going to get the opportunities I get because of the things I've done outside the cage. That's what I love about Bellator. It's kind of funny. I love the UFC more because the UFC's got the best fighters in the world. If you want to know where you stack, I think you go to the UFC. If you're interested in like a true test of this is what you deserve, Bellator. You win 3 fights, you get a title shot. It's so simple. It's kind of great. If you want to know personalities behind the scenes, what it takes to be an MMA fighter, you check out Combate. People would say the Ultimate Fighter, but not really. Ultimate Fighters sort of become commercialized, right?
Sure.
And then if you want to know like true, like just gritty fighting, you go to 1FC in Japan. Or not Japan, I guess it's in Asia. It's all over. But 1FC is rough. Those guys are rough.
Your brother's in 1FC now.
Yeah.
And Matt Hume has, a lot to do with that too.
Definitely. I mean, we can drop those. Of course Matt Hume had something to do with it. When your coach is the president of a league, and if you didn't fight for that league, you'd be stupid. Yeah. That's like if your coach was Dana White and you decided to fight for Bellator. You'd be the stupidest guy on the planet. It's just dumb.
Any aspirations to fight there, but if you ever had a chance?
It's one of those funny things. Dana White's a true competitor. I don't think people realize we fight and we compete. Dana White competes for promotional stuff. That's what he does. So if you're going to fight for Dana White, you can never, ever fight for one of his competitors. If you fought for Bellator, you will never fight in the UFC. If you fought for, 1FC, I don't think he would be upset because it's in Asia. But if you fight anything that takes away his demographic market, you will never fight in the UFC.
So Rampage is done then?
Oh, Rampage will never be asked back to UFC, ever. It's the way Dana is. So whenever I look at offers like that, I always look at it and I've got to go, whatever money and accolades is in front of me, it's got to be worth never getting a chance at the best belts in the world.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Now everybody, combatgamesmma.com, Koga FC, as it was called before, they're putting on Super Bowl Sunday coming up here on April 6th. Ben's fighting there, and we wish you the best of luck there.
Thank you.
Any sort of predictions, I say?
Every time someone asks me that, I always think back. You remember the Rocky movie, Rocky 3, where he fought Clubber Lang? That's my favorite quote of the whole thing. He said, any predictions? He looked at the camera and he goes, pain. So that's my prediction. Any predictions? Pain. That's it.
Well, be looking for pain, people. My name is Scott Corl with Full Contact Fighter. We've been joined by Ben Fodor. We really appreciate your time.
Hey, thanks, brother.
Thank you.